Okay, chapter 10, day 3. It really is from the book of chapter 12, but we blend it with 10. So if you're looking for this in the textbook, it's in chapter 12. But we're still in chapter 10, and we're on our third day. And what we're going to look at today is how do we use the sum, difference, double, and half angle formulas. So there's formulas that they give to you on your test that you just have to know how to use them. All right. So we'll first start out with the most common ones. Sum and difference formulas. So for example, the question might says, find the exact value of sine 75. Now, this word exact value we've heard before. We know exact values, they want fractions, they do not want decimals, and usually they relate to our special triangles. So when I hear exact value, I think of special triangles, special angles from the chart. And the first step I'm going to do is you have to ask yourself, can I rewrite the angle as a sum or difference of one of the special triangles we have, like the 30, the 45, the 60, the 90, the 180, etc. So can I rewrite 75 using numbers like 30, 45, 60, 90? Well, sine 75 can be rewritten as sine of 30 plus 45. So the sine of 30 plus 45. So whenever I want to find an exact value of an angle that's not one of my special ones, and its reference angle is not one of my special ones, I can rewrite it though maybe as a sum or difference of one of my special ones. So here's a formula that we have, and I'll give you the formula sheet in class. But the sine of a sum, this is what we have as a sum, is the sine of the first thing times the cosine of the second thing, plus the cosine of the first thing times the sine of the second thing. All right? So what do you have to do? You have to select the correct formula from the reference sheet. So here's the formula we're going to use. Step 3, identify the A and the B pieces and plug them or substitute them into the formula. So for me, the A part was the 30 and the B part was the 45. So now I plug in 30 and 45 for A and B. So I'm going to rewrite this as sine 30 cos 45 plus cos 30 sine 45. Okay? Now I use the exact values from the chart or from my special triangles to simplify the expression completely. So sine 30 I know is a half, cos 45 square root of 2 over 2, cos 30 is square root of 3 over 2, sine 45 is square root of 2 over 2. And now I just have to use what I know about combining fractions. So when I multiply, I get radical 2 over 4 and radical 6 over 4, and radical 2 and radical 6 I can't add together, so all of it is just radical 2 plus radical 6 over 4. So that is the exact value of sine of 75. Okay, so ask myself, can I somehow rewrite this as a sum or a difference of my special angles? And if so, I follow the formula, substitute in, and then simplify a fraction. Take a look at another one. Exact value of tangent 105. So again, 105. Well, 105, I can use 60 and 45 if I add them together. All right? So I'm going to come up with 105 by adding 60 and 45. Off of my reference sheet, I know that the tangent of A plus B is tan A plus tan B minus, or over 1 over 1 minus tan A tan B. This is a product down here at the bottom. Again, all I'm going to do is plug in these pieces then for the A and the B. So tan 60 plus tan 45 divided by 1 minus tan 60 times tan 45. So tan 60, I know special triangle is radical 3, tan 45 is 1, 1 minus radical 3 times 1. So where does that leave me? It leaves me, if I'm going to write this and reorder it, because I like to write the whole number first, 1 plus radical 3 over 1 minus radical 3, But again, we don't like to leave radicals on the bottom. I'm going to multiply top and bottom by the conjugate to simplify. So I distribute, okay, double distribute on the top. On the bottom, I know I have the first and then the outers. All right, we did that in previous chapters. Clean up the top, factor and reduce, and I'm left with a negative 2 plus radical 3. And so that's where this ends up. That is the exact value of the tangent of 105. Do you always have to follow through with something like this? No, it just depends on how the numbers turn out. But you need to recognize that 105 can be made up of 1645. And in that case, I'm going to do a tangent of a plus b formula. So from this formula, I'm going to plug in the a and the b, and then I have to simplify. Let me show you one other one that we did. If they give you information like the sine of angle A is 12/13 and the cosine of B is 3/5, find the sine of A minus B. And they're telling you that A and B are in quadrant 4. Okay. Now, I know by the formula off my reference sheet that the sine of A minus B is sine A cos B minus cos A sine B. So I'm going to need the sine and cosine of both angles. All right? So we need to find this cos A and sine B first, because that's what we don't know yet. So if they give the sine or cos of the angles, you got to use Pythagorean theorem to find the missing side, and then to find the sine and cos of all the angles. So what are you going to do? Well, the first thing we're going to do is take a look at, let's call this angle A, right? Here's angle A. Oh, right in there, angle A. The sine of angle A, and I'm in quadrant 4. They tell me I'm in quadrant 4. They have to tell me where I'm at. So in quadrant 4, angle A, opposite is negative 12, adjacent, or hypotenuse is 13. So I use Pythagorean theorem, and I get this side is 5. Angle B is 3/5. So that's adjacent over hypotenuse. And I use Pythagorean theorem to find the opposite of 4. And again, in quadrant 4, the y value is negative. So I first have to use Pythagorean theorem to find the missing sides. Now I can find the cosine of A and the sine of B to plug into this whole formula. Okay? So now I plug in chug. So in my formula, I need the sine of angle A. Here's angle A, the sine. Opposite over hypotenuse, negative 12/13. Cosine of B, 3/5. Minus cosine of A. Cosine of A, 5/13. Sine of B, negative 4/5. Negative 4/5. Now I do the product. So negative 3 times negative 12 is negative 36/65 minus negative 20/65, and minus a negative turns to plus a positive, and negative 36 plus 20 is negative 16/65. So when they give you the sine and cos as fractions to begin with, and then they're telling you to find the sine of A minus B or anything else, you have to lay them out in the quadrants that they belong, find the missing sides by Pythagorean theorem, and then once you have that, then you can fill in all the blanks of the formula, and then you have to remember your basic rules for fractions to simplify it. And that's it. There's other formulas on the reference sheet, but it's just a matter of plugging and chugging into that formula.